Voices in your head. I mean, you get a lot of people telling you shouldn't listen to the voices in your head, or that it's dangerous, or that it's almost a psychological problem, right? But we all have them. We all have these inner voices that are telling us, oh, you should have done this, or, well, you can't go in that direction, you can't do that. And these voices can lead us to a lot of inaction. They can freeze us to not make decisions, especially about things that we really are dreaming about doing. What if we could lead the voices in our head? Well, Jeff Meyer talks about how to master this self-leadership and overcome the challenges of life by empowering the inner dialogue of these voices. He calls it the internal board of directors. And on this episode of the podcast, I sat down and talked with Jeff about his new book, Your Internal Board of Directors. And I think you're going to really like this episode. At the end, I'll tell you how you can get a copy for yourself and some of the other resources that we'll talk about on this episode of the Reflection Podcast. In the pastor's office with me today is returning guest Jeff Meyer. Thanks for joining me again, brother.
Ed, it's good to see you.
It is good to see you. Let's catch up a little bit. It's been about a year since we were in this context. You had published a book, actually probably a couple of years ago, and we talked about that. So can you give us just a brief introduction for those who didn't get to see that episode?
A brief introduction of what?
Of you.
Of the first of me.
Of you. Who are you? And why are you here?
Jeff Meyer, father of 4 daughters, 3 son-in-laws, 5 grandchildren, a lovely wife, Amy, lead pastor at the church here in Madison, Wisconsin, coach, executive, especially right now for Christian male executives with the Executive Council, and jeffmeyercoaching.com, author of a few books, big time Packer fan, but right now I'm riding the wave with the Brewers. If we're watching this in August of, I don't know when this is going to come out, but man, they're 12 in a row. They're best team in baseball. It's been a lot of fun. So, and good friend with Ed Blonsky. So, it is good to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, we've known each other for about 39 years now. And through ups and downs of you being a Packer fan and me being a Bears fan, we've both had the pinnacle of success in our lifetime. You a little bit more often than me, but yeah, this episode will probably air in September. So
okay.
God willing, the Brewers are going to be putting the finishing touches on a very special season, regular season, and moving ahead. As a White Sox fan, we won't talk about where we've been as Sox.
Yeah, but you've been at the pinnacle with that team. I've never been a Brewer, so there you go.
Yeah. So you have now. Like you said, you've written a couple books, and we talked about Fear Not, Dream Big, and Execute a couple years ago. Now, actually, it's been several years ago. We have taught when that came out, and now you've got a new book, and that's what I want to talk about. What you've been doing since Fear Not, Dream Big, and Execute has come in, because right after that came out, COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of threw all of us a curveball. So what have you been doing since then?
Well, in terms of this conversation, let me just summarize it. I've been in so many conversations with really gifted leaders and coaching and some of the programming I've run with them. And I've been really struck since COVID primarily, but even more so in the last 2 years, just how challenging this season is to lead. And so being with people in that, I've seen patterns and recurring themes of, how to lead in a very divisive culture, how to lead in with a group of people that you're trying to reach and trying to minister to and trying to help along with whatever your business venture is, that are fearful and right on the edge of um, right on the edge of just like almost losing their minds sometimes. It's just a really hard season, and uh, that together with my own journey over the last couple of years, going through some pretty in-depth healing of my emotions and relationships myself. Um, just really intrigued by how do we self lead? How do we manage our own thinking and processing that is healthy and strong? And that led to writing the book, Your Internal Board of Directors.
So the first question I have as we dive into that is why this book now? And you kind of answered that, but maybe it's might be good to um, maybe dive a little bit deeper into what you mean by internal board of directors. And I think that let's define that first. What do you mean by that?
You've heard of the concept of having your own board of directors, people that like real human beings who you bring into your life to help you process and make good decisions and think about things from all angles. In the internal board of directors are these, and these are not necessarily audible voices, but they're patterns of thinking. They're recurring agendas that get processed in your head. They're repeated patterns that you think about. And what I learned through some therapy and through some coaching over the last year or so is that until we can be aware of those voices and then actually name them, we will never be able to lead them. They will lead us. They will control our thinking. And some of those voices are good voices, and some of those voices are destructive voices that we have given into over time. And they affect the way we look at the world. They affect and impact the way we react in pressure situations, how we react to people. And so when I was going through some coaching in the last year through a hard season of my life, my coach asked me and helped me understand this principle of an inner saboteur. That's the language she used. And if I could name my inner saboteur, what would I name it? And that's where Sheriff McShudster was born. I had fun with it because the experiment, the assignment was have fun with this, make it into an avatar and give it a personality and a role. What role does Sheriff McShudster play in your journey? And so then, alongside of coaching, I was also going through some therapy, and I was telling the therapist about this, and she was really encouraged by the name Sheriff McShudster. And she said, "So, what's the best way to respond to that voice?" And for my entire life, I've tried to resist that narrative, that voice. And what she helped me see is that I could actually lead the voice. And now Sheriff McShudster's on my board, and he actually, with some leadership, I I have him as a positive player in my head. I'm not trying to kick him out because he brings value. He's trying to protect me. And yet sometimes he oversteps. The other really important piece of this is my therapist asked me this, said, are there any other voices you'd like at the table besides the good sheriff? And so that's where Braveheart Barnabas came, and Solution Sparking Sal came, and the most important voice of all, Paracletus Aletheus, came, which is Greek for the Spirit of Truth. So that's why this book now, because it's part of my own journey. And in doing this work and holding my own board meetings, like literally, I sit down and I imagine, I take a problem, I take a situation that's causing me some sort of duress or confusion, and I have a board meeting and I ask for input from each one of the participants around the board table, just like you would your own board of directors. And it's fascinating what shakes loose when you do that. Things you never see as possibilities, opportunities, growth edges that are just buried in here because you haven't named the voices you want. So it started with the inner saboteur, and then it went to what other voices would you like around the table?
So
It's really a fun process.
yeah, it sounds like it too. And as I was reading through the book, I'm glad you're saying the names out loud because I was having trouble. I didn't have an audio version of the book, and I think that might have been very, very helpful, especially with the Greek, uh, which I should know, you would think, but you know my academic background. It's probably not surprising to anyone who knows me that I couldn't pronounce it. But let's go around the table and introduce us to your board of directors. We've got the sheriff.
So yeah, Sheriff McShudster, and we have Braveheart Barnabas, who's just, think about the biblical character Barnabas, the son of encouragement. He's just there. He has my back. He has my back. It reminds me that I got it and that he's with me. Solution Sparking Sal, because a lot of times we get caught into binary thinking. It's either this way or that way, and we lose our mind capacity to see that there may be a third option or even a fourth option or a fifth option. And then, oh, wow, that fifth option really sounds pretty cool. And now I'm drawing a blank on the other names. You've got the book. You pull them up.
No, I don't have the book in front of me. It's on my
Okay.
Kindle. There was
uh,
one though that was innovative that was going to give you
oh, innovative or innovator Ian.
yes.
Yeah, finding a new way to approach a topic or a problem. You know, I even right now, sometimes I have to stop, like with my board of directors at church, and I like, okay, I'm forgetting someone. I'm forgetting someone. Who am I forgetting?
Yeah.
Sending an email out to elders, and I'm forgetting a couple
Yep.
elders.
I get it. So, um, the sheriff. Let's go back to Sheriff McShudster. You don't hear it when you say it out loud, but when you see it in print, you realize what this board member is. It's the word should. It's you should do this, or I should have done this and I didn't do it, so I'm going to fail now. And so I get that kind of born out of that idea that we find ourselves trapped in. I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and so I didn't do it, so I'm a failure, and I can't do this. And so I loved how that you've that's if that board member's leading us, but we have to lead them and that really is very liberating, isn't it? That
Very
you're
liberating.
yeah, you're liberating not only yourself but these board members to help, to guide, and to give you new ideas
Yeah,
to pursue the
a
dream.
different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And he's
Um,
always the first to speak because he's the most recognizable voice. So he's always the first to. Jeff, you should have known that,
yeah.
dude. You're 59 years old. You should know that by now. Boom. And then you do that over time, and it starts impacting your identity.
Does everyone
And
have this?
I've used the phrase for a lot of years with working with leaders. Don't should on yourself,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah. Because I can
Mm-hmm.
be, I understand that.
Yeah.
Because I think about things. It's amazing how older I get that my memory starts to fade a little bit. I can't remember what I did last week or what I said a month ago, but I'll remember
Mhm.
something 50 years ago, 40 years ago, and oh, I wish I should have done this differently.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like, why do I remember that? And I
Yeah.
can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Um, so let me ask that question. Does everyone have this? I mean, you and I are pastors. That's sort of our primary calling for the most part. And I can see how pastors really should gravitate towards this idea. It helps us in our pastoral ministry, but does anybody have this in their heads?
Yeah. I mean, we're all born, we're born with the gifts and the innate connection with God, and given the capacity to think, to process, to experience life, to make sense of it. And so, yeah, every single person can benefit from this. This is not just for pastors. But then, we've got that ability, but sin does a great job of wrecking it and getting us to focus on one voice instead of other voices. And I mean, that's why the scriptures say, make every thought captive to Christ, right? Paul talks about that. So yeah, it's for everybody. And it's interesting that I think it's somewhat because of the title. When you say something like internal board of directors, people think, oh, he's talking to pastors or leaders in particular. And then because I'm in pastoral ministry and I lead a church, there's automatically the assumption that the things I'm writing about are just for pastors. And so I have to constantly say, this is not just for pastors.
Right.
This is for any person who wants to lead the thoughts in their heads with more wholeness and completeness.
Excellent. I can't emphasize that enough either because this is not a podcast just for pastors, even though I'm a pastor and I have a lot of pastors on it. But uh,
Mm-hmm.
this is for this is for people to be inspired to reflect God's light and love. And this is a really good way to do it because, as you said, one of your board members is the Holy Spirit, basically, and I would think that that would be kind of the chairman of the board, so to speak. Everything has to come back to that. As Christians, as followers of Jesus, it's part of who we are to give God the head seat at the table. Uh, but why do you, maybe you were answering this already, but why do you think God made us this way? Um, because we mess it up. We get this if He created us with an internal board of directors and we screw it up with sin. Um, why does God give us this? What could be His goal for us?
Um, because he loves us, Ed. He gives us the ability to think and to process, to make good decisions, to join him in his work, to live with fruitfulness in our relationships, peace. And one day he will restore all things, and sin will no longer be the crippling agent that it is. But he does it because he loves us. He includes us in his mission. It'd be like asking, similar question would be, well, why did God create Adam and Eve?
Right.
Because he wanted communion with man. He wanted to live in community. And why did he create man when there was a strong possibility they were going to screw it up? And he knew it ahead of time. Why would he do that? Well, it's the same reason why we love each other and why you and I have been friends for 39 plus years,
Yeah.
even though we've had some rough spots along the way where we've bristled against each other. Men tend to do that when they're together for any length of time. But we didn't just scrap it because it got hard, because we value one another and we love each other. So that would be my answer.
Good answer, though. That's an excellent answer, and it's one that I think is important because it really does build on the previous time that we had talked. In fact, I called that episode "You Are a Co-Creator with the Creator,"
Mm.
And that's exactly right. He doesn't want people, for the lack of a better term, he doesn't make Christians to just to sit in church or to sit at home or to sit with a Bible. I mean,
Mm.
that's important to do that. You to go to church, to read your Bible, to be a family man. But he wants to do things with us. We have an active God, and this board of directors that you're talking about is really a way of I get it, get that this impression that it's a way of God calling us into this creative process. I'm going to make something new with you,
Yeah.
not new of you, but with you. We're going to do something together that's going to be incredible.
And there's going to be resistance to that. There's an enemy that's lurking about, and he's the father of lies, and he's going to infiltrate our minds and our thinking, and that try to keep us stuck, try to keep us not participating, to help us give up. And so tools like this, and this book is not a it's not something you just read through, and it's designed to be a practice. It's designed to be something you work and do as you're reading it. And that's like anything in the Christian life, is there's all kinds of practices we get to do, not so that we can earn our way to God or any of that kind of legalistic layering, but so that we can be open to all the good things that God wants to deliver as we go. And our thought life's a really important part of that.
It's how we do things. It begins here.
Mhm.
Uh,
And if you can't lead this,
yeah,
if you can't lead this well, you're going to have a hard time leading anything else well.
that's right. And we're all called to be leaders of some kind, if it's
Absolutely.
just to lead ourselves, to
Mhm.
be a leader amongst this group, this thing we call ourselves. But the um the book if I remember right, it's 10 chapters. And at the end of each chapter, you do have these practical things. Here's some things exercises, I guess they're called. You can do this, and then you've got some resources as well. And that's what intrigued me in reading the book was looking at. Now I got another 15 books to read to read because you talk about Thomas Edison, you talk about Ben Carson, Ruby Bridges. These are people I've heard of in passing, but talk about and you provide links. And I was reading it on my Kindle,
Yeah.
and
Kindle's great because it just takes you right to a blog post or
but it's
an
dangerous too
article.
because I go down rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'm reading
Yeah.
this, and all of a sudden I'm 8 pages into another article. But it's a good kind of danger. You learn so much, and it's like, yeah, this is great. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm able to name my board of directors just yet, but I recognize them. I certainly do
Yeah.
recognize them. Yeah,
That's where it starts. It starts with
yeah,
the awareness of the thoughts, the pattern thoughts. I'm not just talking about random thoughts. I'm talking about the pattern thoughts that they're occurring over and over again. The ones that maybe you suffer from, with, like my case, Sheriff McSchuster, or the ones that you want more patterned. You want more positive. Braveheart Barnabas was a big deal for me
I love that one.
because I've lived with this faulty thinking my entire life that I shouldn't. There it is again. I shouldn't um, speak words of affirmation about myself. It's too self-centered.
Right.
And as followers of Jesus, all our focus is on Him, and He does everything. We don't participate in our salvation. It's all on Him, and that's true. And God does speak words of encouragement to us about who we are. He does all over the scriptures, my beloved. Um, and so it's okay. I had to get to a point where I could say, it's okay to speak positive words about yourself, Jeff. That's messed up.
Yes.
I am created in God's image. I have been redeemed. I am gifted with the Spirit. I have a place alongside with him, all by his grace, granted. But I had to learn how to, and it came because my wife said to me once, many times over, you don't receive compliments very well, you deflect them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think while this book isn't written for just pastors, I think pastors struggle with this probably more than many, because a lot of the things we hear and a lot of the things that get land in here as um, solid and ongoing thoughts sound spiritual, but they're not from God. And be able to discern that is tricky business.
It is.
And that's why we have to be aware.
Mm-hmm.
And then the naming process, do not skip that. I would encourage you,
Mm-hmm.
do it whenever you're ready, but do it. Sit down with it. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because it opens up a whole new world of, oh, yeah, I can think about that from a different perspective.
Yeah, it's a revealing perspective too, that yes, it comes from God. It's the way he created us, but to know those different avenues, those different voices around the table. And we talked about being led by the board instead of leading it. I guess in a sense, we are the chairman of the board or the CEO of the board, and that's a tricky thing to do as well because I think as just as human beings, we are easily led, but it's difficult to lead. I mean, if it was easy to lead, then everybody would do it. But that's why leaders are so special because they have this. They may not have the special quality. They certainly do, but they figured out how to get others to lead, and very often the best leaders are the ones that say follow me and then lead the way, and to
Yeah, it's not dictatorial
no,
leadership.
no. So
It's collaborative at the highest level of trust needed is collaborative leadership. Um, it's not even just getting people to cooperate. It's collaboration, letting everyone around that table have a voice, and that takes trust. And just like in real world leadership, it takes trust to lead collaboratively. So also in our heads.
well, that's one thing I actually I don't know if I've ever told you this personally, but it's something I admired about how you be a pastor for decades, even as when you were back. This is not your first church. You had a church even in Iowa too, of how you were leading. And I wish you had had this book back then for me because there was a lot of times when, as a pastor, I didn't listen to anybody because, hey, I'm the pastor. And so they're supposed to listen to me. And then I realized a couple of years later, I don't have all the answers, so it's probably a good thing they weren't listening to me anyway. Um, but it's taken me this long to figure out, hey, I got to listen to other voices, not only inside my internal dialogue, but also around the physical table, the literal table in my churches and in my community too.
Absolutely.
And
If you want it to be a shared mission adventure, if you want it to be a shared vision you're pursuing, um, everyone has a role.
yep. And that's what the church is supposed to be as well. Is I hate to make it parochial. I know there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are kind of on the outside of the church. They're kind of peeking in over the fence as it is.
Mhm.
But this is the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be in this together. Like you said with Braveheart Barnabas, it's interesting how I didn't gravitate towards the Barnabas, the son of encouragement, the one who encouraged the Apostle Paul. He was there to walk with him, to serve with him, and to lift him up when he needed to. I kind of gravitated towards Braveheart. The guy
Yeah,
with
because of the
half
movie,
his
right?
face is blue and he's got a sword in his hand, right?
But that's the effect he has on me
Yeah.
when I know he's with me and um, he's encouraging me. It gives me a better chance to act with bravery and courage and step forward, even though there's fear, and go for it.
I'm thinking through this, and it just occurred to me. I think that dialogue, that board member on mine would be major motivator, uh,
I
because
love it.
yeah,
I love it.
because not only is he helping me there, and I'm thinking about it as that leader, Dick Winters from Band of Brothers, Major
Mm,
Winters, was his leadership was so incredible to me. I've read just about everything that was ever
yeah.
written, either by him or about him. He was very much lead from the front, say follow me and then lead the way type of thing. And he was always there. And the people that served under him in the military just loved him, absolutely loved him.
You
And
have so much passion around that generation, Ed, and I would just encourage lean into it.
yeah,
You'll
that's
find all
definitely
kinds of characters that you can draw from to support and build up your thought life as well.
absolutely. Well, thank you. So what's been the response to the book? It's been out for a little bit now, right?
Yeah. So far, it went out in May.
Okay.
It was launched in May, and so far there hasn't been a lot of like reviews written. I'm still working on that. As an author, that's always a challenge to get people to write reviews. Um, but I have had multiple text exchanges and emails from people saying, and the patterned responses that I'm getting that are frequent are, I never thought of it this way before. I never thought that I could like lead. I thought I always just had to tolerate the voices or try to suppress them. So that was a new thinking for a lot of people. A couple responses also were, I have the thing that hit me is I got like three or four of these really bad players in my head, and I've just tried to squash them and resist them. And now you've given me a tool to actually try to discover they might have some value for me if I learn to lead them well. You think of like Abraham Lincoln's story and the way he created his cabinet, and he put voices around the table that were not friendly voices so that he could lead them, right? And so that he could benefit from something that they have to offer. So, yeah.
Trying to think of the name of the book. In fact, I think I have it over there. A Team of Rivals. That was it. His cabinet was,
Yeah.
they weren't his friends.
No.
They weren't yes men. In fact, they were dissenting voices because
Mm-hmm.
that was exactly, Abraham Lincoln is a wonderful example of leadership in,
Yeah. In a very divisive time, right?
oh yeah. And,
Yeah.
and of course, we don't have that kind of time today. There's no divisiveness today, right?
Mm,
As he said,
yeah.
tongue firmly
Plenty.
planted in cheek. Exactly. Yeah, I put my review up on Amazon this morning.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, and I'm hoping that with this episode too, we'll get that out there. And I did buy two copies for my ministry team here. I've got a new
Mm,
pastor and a new youth minister on staff where I'm the lead pastor, and so I thought as I got about halfway through it, and I said, they really need to read this because it is an easy read, by the way. It didn't take me long to read it, but I know that I can go back to it and start to, like an onion, peel it away,
yeah.
the layers of it. And there's a lot in there, but it doesn't take that long. I mean, so much of you see so many books that are, 3, 4, 5, 600 pages long. And it's like, who's got the time for that? But that's not this book at all. I think it's incredibly helpful, but also incredibly accessible for everybody. For everybody. So
I
it's been,
appreciate that. I appreciate that. It took a lot. Actually took longer to write than my other book that's 300 pages long. So it's not easy work, but it's simple. Does that make sense?
yeah,
It's hard. It's hard internal work, but it's simple. It's you pick out the voices, start with the saboteur. I talk about some themes like you want one that can help you avoid binary thinking. I talked about that already. You want a voice of encouragement. You want a voice that helps you redirect your negative thinking. Um, I struggle with catastrophizing and catastrophic thinking, like it's the end of the world and it's hopeless. And so you need someone that can help you avoid that trap. So think about the traps that you get into and then build the voices around.
That I wanted, this is maybe this is a little bit of a curveball for you, but that binary thinking, that was something that was very enlightening to me because uh, a lot of times we think we live in a world where it's just black and white. It's either this way or it's this way, and there's no other way. And boy, do we have that wrong, don't we?
A lot of times, there are times when it's black and white, but most issues that we struggle with are gray, and there's other options. And you've experienced this in counseling and helping people. Um, a lot of times people get stuck because they can't think of any new options.
That's the trap we're in because in a lot of ways there is truth, there is
Yes,
actual right and wrong, and there's
absolutely.
but
That's
uh,
not what I'm talking about. I'm
no,
talking
no,
about
you're right,
like solving a problem.
right.
Got to do it this way or that way, and then you get up and you walk around and you look at it from another angle and you go, oh,
And there can be multiple
I could
right
approach it
ways.
this way.
Yeah, there can be multiple ways that are correct. Um, again, but it's sort of a collective whole. It's part of a collective whole. If we're going to go in this direction, which is a good direction to go in, then here are the pathways to it. Or you can go in this direction, which is just as valid and just as good of a direction, it's just different. It's just a different direction, and there's another way to do it. And it's almost as if, well, I don't know which direction to go into, but then if there's multiple ways to do this and it's not binary, you're going to be led in the direction that God wants you to go into. That's something that you actually taught me and this congregation that there was more ways than just the one way to go. In our
Hmm,
personal experience in our congregation, it was school education, 100 years of a Christian day school, and we realized, but that's not the only direction we could go into. We can
right,
go in another directions just as valid. It's just different. So
right.
I appreciate that. I truly appreciate that idea that of the binary thinking that traps us into almost it freezes us, doesn't it?
Mhm.
It can freeze us
It
into
certainly
inaction.
can.
All right.
Leaves us feeling can leave us feeling helpless and stuck. Yeah.
Well, as Mike Rose says, I'm going to try to land the plane a little bit here.
All right.
We're in
Land it.
our final
Let's make
approach
sure it's
here.
not a bumpy landing.
No, no bumpy landings. At least I'll try not to. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to reach a million people, millions of people all at once, but you only have 5 or 10 seconds to get them a message. Okay. So you got to compact all of what we've been talking about into something that they're going to see it and then zoom right by it, but you want to make a lasting impact. And so what do you tell these people? What's your message to them?
you are a you are a beloved, chosen human being, loved by eternally by a God who created you, and He's given you wonderful ability to think and process and make decisions. And identifying voices that you want around your table to help guide you in decision making, naming them, and then leading them will help you live with more fullness and fruitfulness.
Lead the voices. I like it.
You're the leader. You have agency in your over your life. Now, all the theologians in the room, oh, God is yes. Paracletus Aletheus is at my table, and everything gets filtered through the Word of God and the objective truth of God for me. Um, And we talk about that in the book. Like you got to have your own Paracletus Aletheus, however you're going to name him. Um, and with that, God gives us great agency. You have the capacity and you have been given the freedom to lead your life.
So, what's next? What's on your horizon?
Hmm.
Besides a Brewers World Series.
Yeah, that would be great. Keep riding the wave. I think just keep, for me, it's just keep working this, keep working the book till it becomes second nature for me. Like I said before we jumped on the interview, I am not a finished work, although it is finished. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yep.
I, but I still stumble. I still get trapped into old patterns of thinking. And I still forget that I have this tool that I wrote and put out into the world that I can use myself. So that's what's next for me.
Okay.
I'm going to keep trying to do that as I lead my family, as I lead myself, as I lead the church, as I lead my business ventures with the executive council and Jeff Meyer coaching, as I continue to work with churches and leaders um, to try to help them experience the freedom that we have in Jesus to live our lives.
One more group that I want you to lead to, and this is a personal thing. So anybody else that's listening, I'll be with you in a moment. You can lead our group, the five brothers that we are, because
Hmm.
we all tend to be very strong alpha personalities in our group.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
have something that you can help us with, the four of us with, Kurt,
Hmm.
Mark, and Steve. So don't
Well,
don't
it's
overlook that group either.
no, it's like it's beautiful when relationships have mutuality. It goes both ways, and so I give, I receive, and it's good to be in a band of brothers for this length of time.
Yeah. So obviously we've been promoting this book, your internal board of directors. Yeah, what do you recommend any other books or blogs or podcasts that people can look at to help with this internal board of directors?
I would encourage you to just stick with the book and work it till you got your board and you start practicing having a couple board meetings and just seeing how it goes. Chapter 10 gives you the opportunity. I put in there a chat GPT chat. Once you
Yeah.
got it all, you can plug that in and run a board meeting through it. And it's eye-opening what comes as a result of that. But those of you who are against chat GPT, just ignore chapter 10. That's fine. Um, but once you practice a few times, there are some really helpful resources that I have been reading and was reading during this journey myself. One is called Boundaries for Your Soul. The authors are Allison Cook and Kimberly Miller. Very helpful. A Still and Quiet Mind by Esther Smith, 12 Strategies for Changing Unwanted Thoughts. This one on leadership from Todd Bolsinger, Tempered Resilience, is really, really helpful. He talks a lot about being an adaptive leader, which is so necessary today, more than ever. And then this is not a religious book by any means, but it's really, really well done by Ryan Holiday. The Obstacle is the Way. Really, really helpful pieces that have shaped my leadership and shaped my thinking. Um, those would be recommendations.
Okay. I want to put links to those wherever you get your books. I'll probably put a link for Amazon because hey,
Yeah,
Amazon is the place, right, to go.
yeah,
But I like that. I'm always on the hunt for something that I can have on my nightstand that will,
yeah,
I can pick up and say, oh yeah, yeah, that helps with the internal dialogue. Yeah, it was interesting when I first started reading the book. Is like voices in my head. I've always been told that's a bad thing, but no, this is a good thing because so many times, and maybe this is a scriptural, a biblical thing, where God is speaking to us through these voices. He
yeah. I mean,
spoke through
hopefully, I
dreams,
mean,
so.
When you read scripture, when you listen to a song, when you have a conversation, you have thoughts.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, is there anything that a question I should have asked and I didn't
Hmm.
get to?
Yeah. Try this one on. Um, and this would be a great question for your audience. Uh, if you were going to write a book and it didn't matter whether you sold one copy or not, and you knew you still needed to write the book, what would that book be?
Okay.
And
How- yeah.
my answer to that would be this book.
This one.
Yeah. I wrote it for me.
Those are the
And
best
I
books.
I offer it to the world. Hopefully it can help some people, but I wrote it for me. And I'd love to sell some copies for sure.
Hey, you won't, right?
But you know, you don't write books to become a best-selling author. Most books aren't going to reach that plateau, or that pinnacle. I would also another question you might ask is, where can I get this book besides Amazon?
Yes.
And I'll give you the link. It's books.by / Jeff Meyer.
Okay.
And you can access all three of my books there.
Okay.
And if you buy there, what's cool about it is you will get right now with this book, there's 5 resources that come free that you'll receive from me. Plus, you can engage with me. I know that you purchased the book, right? If you go there, if you buy a book on Amazon, the author doesn't know that you bought it. Because what I'm really interested in with this is having dialogue like this about this topic with other people. I've had a few people reach out and share their board of directors with me with their names, and it's fascinating. And I'm looking for engagement with the book, not just transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, that will be the link then that I put in for your book. So
Good.
thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate you taking the time for this conversation, and I hope it reaches as many people as that actually need to hear this. So, and that's why we do it. So keep reflecting the
Right.
light and love of God, my friend.
Thank you. You too, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you.
Good to see you always.
My thanks to my longtime friend, brother really, Jeff Meyer, and his conversation with me about your internal board of directors. In the show notes of this episode are links to where you can get Jeff's new book as well as his other resources and books. And there's links for that at books.by / Jeff/Meyer. I know that sounds a lot, but the link's in the notes there that you can click on that. I hope you do too. It's not an expensive book, but it's such an important book. I think you're going to really enjoy this easy read, but a book that's going to be so powerful in shaping that inner dialogue that you have going on in your head right now, and how God can use that to push you, to lead you, to guide you into the direction that He has for you to pursue your dreams and to find your purpose. This is the Reflection Podcast. I'm Ed Blonsky, lead pastor at St. Matthew Lutheran Church in Hawthorne Woods, Illinois, which is the producer of the podcast. If you'd like to know more or get a hold of us, go to our website at www.stmats.net, stmatts.net. You can plan a visit, and if you're in the northeast corner of Illinois, we'd love to have you come on out for our worship services or other events that we have planned, especially coming up in this season. You can also find us online at our website. Our services, our worship services are streamed. Many of our Bible studies are streamed live as they happen. And then there are also recordings of those, as well as other podcasts. We have another podcast called Boundless, where you can hear a message from one of the pastors at St. Matthew that can give you an insight into living in this life and how God has a wonderful plan for your life and has gone to great lengths to make you His child. So also check out the Boundless podcast as well. Thanks for joining me today. I do appreciate my time with Jeff, and I hope that you will also, at the end, you're going to find a link to this from this podcast to the previous episode that Jeff was on with me about his previous book, Fear Not, Dream Big, and Execute. So you might want to check that out if you haven't done that already. Stay with us for more episodes coming up in this season. This is the first of season 5 of the Reflection Podcast. God has been so good to us, and I've got some more great episodes coming up with some very interesting people. So let people know about the Reflection Podcast. Your reviews and your rating of the show can be very, very helpful. Doesn't take long. We'd love to have your 5-star review, your thumbs up, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, which YouTube also gives you the video version of the podcast, so you can see who I'm talking with as well. So that's this episode. I'm really so appreciative of you checking us out and rating us and liking us and sharing us. So join me again next time on the Reflection Podcast. I pray that God will richly bless you, and I'll see you again next time.